Hello everyone, welcome back to the Impact Report. Please subscribe and like my videos. Today's story is not just another headline, it is a warning signal coming straight from the heart of Eastern Europe. Belarus, a country long considered politically frozen, may be entering the most dangerous phase of its modern history. For years, stability in Belarus was enforced, controlled, and maintained through authority rather than consensus. But now, cracks are appearing across the system, and those cracks are no longer easy to hide. What we are seeing today is not a sudden collapse, but a slow, visible erosion of control, confidence, and loyalty. The question is no longer whether Belarus is under pressure, but how long the structure can hold before it gives way. From the outside, Belarus still appears calm. Government buildings remain guarded, borders are controlled, and official statements project confidence, but exterior appearances can be misleading. Beneath the surface, pressure is building from multiple directions at once. Economic stress, political isolation, military uncertainty, and public exhaustion are combining into a single force that is pushing the country toward an unpredictable future. The streets may look quiet, but silence does not always mean stability. In tightly controlled states, silence often comes before rupture. The internal environment of Belarus is where the most serious warning signs are emerging. Inside the country, institutions that once operated with strict discipline are now showing signs of hesitation. Bureaucratic efficiency has slowed, decision-making has become centralized to the point of paralysis, and trust within the system is weakening. Civil servants, security personnel, and even military officers are facing a growing disconnect between official orders and on-ground realities. This internal tension is critical, because states do not collapse only from protests or invasions. They collapse when the internal machinery stops functioning as intended. The interior political climate is increasingly fragile. Power in Belarus has long been built around loyalty rather than adaptability. That model works in times of control, but it struggles in times of crisis. As external pressures increase, the leadership is forced to rely even more heavily on enforcement, which in turn deepens public resentment and institutional fatigue. This creates a cycle where every attempt to tighten control actually increases long-term instability. Inside ministries, inside security structures, and inside the military command, there is growing uncertainty about the future direction of the country. The performance of the Belarusian state is another area where warning signs cannot be ignored. Economic performance has suffered due to sanctions, reduced trade access, and limited foreign investment. While official figures attempt to show resilience, everyday life tells a different story. Inflation pressure, reduced purchasing power, and shrinking opportunities are being felt across urban and rural populations alike. When economic performance weakens, political legitimacy weakens with it, especially in systems where public participation is already limited. State performance in crisis management has also been tested repeatedly in recent years, and each test has exposed vulnerabilities. Whether responding to protests, managing international pressure, or navigating regional conflicts, Belarus has increasingly depended on external support rather than internal strength. This dependence raises serious questions about sovereignty and long-term sustainability. A state that cannot act independently under pressure risks becoming reactive instead of strategic, and that is a dangerous position for any nation. Safety features of the Belarusian system, traditionally built around strong security forces and surveillance, are now facing their own challenges. Security institutions remain powerful, but power alone does not guarantee effectiveness. Morale, cohesion, and belief in leadership are just as important as equipment and authority. Reports and indicators suggest growing strain within these structures. When security forces begin to question the direction they are being pushed in, the entire safety architecture of the state becomes vulnerable. Another major concern is the military dimension. Belarus's armed forces have historically been seen as disciplined and controlled. However, prolonged regional tension, especially connected to the broader Eastern European conflict environment, has placed the military under unusual stress. Extended readiness, political expectations, and uncertainty about future involvement in conflicts have created an atmosphere of unease. Even subtle shifts in military confidence can have massive implications, because the military is often the final pillar holding a system together during times of crisis. The unique selling points of Belarus as a state have traditionally included strategic location, industrial capacity, and political predictability. Today, each of these points is under threat. The country's strategic location has turned from an advantage into a liability, placing it at the crossroads of competing geopolitical interests. Industrial capacity is struggling under restrictions and limited access to modern technology. Political predictability has been replaced by uncertainty, both domestically and internationally. What makes the current situation especially dangerous is the convergence of multiple risk factors at the same time. Economic pressure alone might be manageable. Political dissatisfaction alone might be suppressed. External pressure alone might be negotiated. But when all of these factors collide simultaneously, the system is forced into constant crisis mode. Crisis mode is not sustainable forever. Eventually mistakes increase, loyalty weakens, and confidence breaks. The cost, or price, of maintaining the current structure is rising rapidly. Financially, politically, and socially, the burden is becoming heavier. Resources that could be used for development are being diverted toward control and survival. Human capital is leaving the country, either physically or mentally disengaging from the system. International isolation increases transaction costs and limits strategic options. Every additional year under these conditions raises the price of stability and reduces the chances of a smooth transition. Public psychology is another warning sign that cannot be ignored. Societies can endure hardship for long periods if they believe there is a future payoff. But when hope diminishes, patience disappears. In Belarus, hope is under pressure. Younger generations, in particular, see fewer opportunities and more restrictions. Older generations feel fatigue from constant tension. This psychological exhaustion is invisible in statistics, but it is often the decisive factor in moments of collapse. None of this means that collapse is guaranteed or imminent. States can survive long periods of stress. However, ignoring warning signs has historically proven to be a fatal mistake for many governments. Collapse does not announce itself with a countdown. It arrives when leadership underestimates internal decay and overestimates its ability to control outcomes. In conclusion, Belarus stands at a crossroads. The warning signs are real, visible, and growing. Exterior calm hides interior instability. Performance weaknesses are increasing pressure. Safety structures are under strain. Unique strengths are turning into vulnerabilities, and the price of holding everything together continues to rise. Whether Belarus adapts, transforms, or breaks under pressure will depend on decisions made in the near future. What is certain is that the current trajectory is unsustainable. The world is watching, but more importantly, the system itself is reaching its limits.